Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, semangat, semangat pagi. Oke, kita akan belajar dari belajar ya, dari BINUS University. Oke, ini panjang sekali guys, so please pay attention, full focus ya. Pasti ada hasilnya, manfaatnya buat teman-teman ya. Oke, kita akan mempelajari Constructive Alignment in Multi-Channel Learning class with BCL&D, BINUS Corporate Learning and Development. So the learning outcomes here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. First is define multi-channel learning. Second is explain the constructive alignment in multi-channel learning. Third is identify the tools in multi-channel learning. And the fourth is explain the teaching tips in multi-channel learning. The content is multi-channel learning definition, multi-channel learning, which multi-channel learning model will be implemented in BINUS, then constructive alignment in multi-channel learning, then the last one is best practice in Microsoft Education, teacher's role in multi-channel learning. Alright, we've come to what is multi-channel learning. Multi-channel learning approach is a learning approach that utilizes various learning channels, such as through video conference, discussion forum, assignment, and video-based learning. In BINUS University, there are 3 main channels that will be implemented, namely, first, limited on-site lecture, second is 100% online lecture, and the third one is guided self-learning class, or GSLC. And then, in limited on-site lecture, the lecturer will teach on campus according to respective teaching schedule. What is multi-channel learning? This method will focus on limited on-site lecture training. And during the limited on-site lecture session, multi-channel learning model will be implemented. A comprehensive approach that combining the best parts of face-to-face and online learning to create the ideal learning experience. An educational model where some students attend class in person while others join class virtually from home. Educators teach remote and in-person students at the same time using tools like video conferencing hardware and software. For multi-channel learning to be successful, the elements of the multi-channel learning course need to be tailored to the learning format, whether it be in person or online. Now we see multi-channel learning versus blended learning. For blended learning, it combines in-person teaching with asynchronous learning methods, where students work on online exercises and watch instructional videos during their own time. And multi-channel learning, it is a teaching method where teachers instruct in person and remote students at the same time. In multi-channel learning models, asynchronous teaching methods can be used to supplement synchronous face-to-face instruction. So what are the benefits of multi-channel learning? Here we go. 1 is a flexible learning experience. 2 is a flexibility of delivery. 3, synchronous communication opportunities. 4, the freedom of independent academic exploration. 5, more efficient use of resources. And the 6, most versatile and effective e-learning course design. And this is the multi-channel learning model. Yeah, the source is Christensen Institute. We see the brick and mortar. It contains of traditional instruction and technology-rich instruction. From the online learning, it covers informal online learning and full-time online learning. Then they are both blended, so becomes blended learning. 1 is the rotation model, which consists of station rotation model, then lab rotation model, flipped classroom model, and then individual rotation model. And number 2 is flex model. Number 3 is self-blend model, and the 4 is enriched virtual model. 5 models for making the most out of multi-channel learning. So you can here click this link, yeah, as the source for a better view. So we have the model, students at home and students in person. All right, here we go. This is the bigger view, yeah. So the differentiated model, students at home and in person engage synchronously on the same lessons. The two groups frequently interact with one another. And how about students at home? Students use video conferencing technology to access the lesson. Direct instruction occurs through flipped videos, but the whole class still interacts together. Small groups happen via breakout rooms. And students in person? Students meet in person. They watch the same direct instruction videos as a virtual group, and they have key moments where they interact with students at home. Small groups occur at tables or desks. And then for multi-track model, students work on the same lessons, but they are divided into cohorts that exist in separate tracks. The cohorts rarely interact. The student at home can work asynchronously in an online track or synchronously in a virtual track. The virtual group does the same lesson the the in-person group, but in a way that does not require them to interact with. And students in person engage in learning face to face in a typical way, but with social distancing rules. Certain activities become small groups or independent activities to allow the teacher to work with the virtual cohort via video. Then the third model is the split AEB model. Students alternate days between being at home and being in person. Most of the at-home learning is asynchronous with a few opportunities for video conferencing. Students at home work on asynchronous assignments. They might watch videos, listen to podcasts, or do readings as prep for the in-person classes. They might also complete assignments or work on projects. And students in person make the most of face-to-face time by engaging in projects, doing games, having meaningful discussions, or getting targeted academic help from teachers. The fourth model is the virtual accommodation model. When the group at home is small, let's say 3 to 4 students, they can function as a virtual small group but use video chat to join in-person classroom. Students at home participate in all of the same face-to-face activities, but they use video conferencing software to access the learning. And students in person, students participate in a typical face-to-face class, but one student works as the liaison with the virtual students to ensure that they can see the professor. And the last project is the independent project model. When a face-to-face lesson doesn't work offline and only 1 to 4 students need to work virtually, an independent projects model works best. And students at home, students work independently on a project or an adaptive learning module. The process is fully personalized. Student in person, students continue to work in their face-to-face environment. And here we go with module 3, learning environment in multi-channel learning. And you can see here we have the bigger size, yeah, the comfortable size. While if you want to have it, you can click the source. Here is the link, yeah. Okay, let's go to the bigger size, yeah. In-person interactions, day-to-day interaction, conversation, dialogue, and questions. What Microsoft Teams does? Post tab. And what is the virtual interactions? Students and instructors can interact with one another through the post lab. Educators can pose discussion questions for students to participate in throughout the week. Students can ask questions about content or assignment. Classmates can socialize and their ideas. For lectures, demonstrate, collaborate, discuss in class meeting, the Microsoft Teams tools will use Teams call. Can be raise hand, chat, share screen, or whiteboard. The virtual interaction, students and instructor can join a team call for class meetings. Students can use their raise hands feature or the chat window to ask questions, share insights, or answer instructors' questions. Instructors can use share screen or use the whiteboard feature to offer visuals to support their content delivery. Third interaction is distribute hands-out and resources to students. Facilitate collaboration among students. The tool is File Step. How to interact? Instructors can share read-only content and resources in the class materials folder in the File Step. Students and instructor can collaborate on Word, PowerPoint, and Excel files shared in the File tab. They can offer comments with the file, and each file has a chat feature to allow for conversation about the file. Fourth person interaction, distribute handouts and resources to students, create a workspace for students, facilitate collaboration among students. The tool is Class Notebook tab. How to interact? OneNote Class Notebook is a digital three-ring binder for a course. Instructor can share read-only content and resources in the content library of Notebook. Educators can also create workspaces for students to complete assignment. Students can collaborate on projects or share resources with one another in the collaboration space of the notebook. Students also have an individual workspace where they can take notes, document learning, and complete assignment. The fifth of interaction is distribute and collect assignments and provide students feedback on their work. Microsoft Teams tools is assignment step. How to interact? Instructors can distribute and collect assignments with the assignment step. They can attach a OneNote page for students to complete, a link, or other files. Students can turn in the assignment through the Assignment tab. Once turned in, instructors can review the work and offer feedback. They can either allow students to revise the work based on feedback or finalize and return the grade. The sixth one is communicate graded assignment. Tool is grade step. The interactions. Once finalized, instructors return graded assignments. Students can see their grades in the grade step. Instructor can review an individual's grade or the class performance on an assignment. The seventh is create learning centers and or organizing materials and resources for students. The tool is channels. Interaction is instructors can create a structure for their virtual learning space with channels. Channels can be organized by week, topic, or assignment. Educators can create private channels for students to collaborate on projects. Additionally, instructors can create virtual learning centers with channels and direct learners to specific channels for meetings, questions, or socializing. Then we come to the eighth interaction, which is evaluate students' participation. Microsoft Teams tool is Insight. How to interact is with the Insight tab, instructors can review real-time data regarding students' interaction in assigned discussion, participations in meeting, and completion of assignment. Then the ninth is lecture demonstration. The tool is Microsoft Stream. The way is instructor can upload their instructional videos and demonstration in a stream channel and then add the channel as a tab in Teams. And the last one is entrance and exit tickets, quizzes, surveys, or polls. This is using Microsoft Forms. The way is instructors can connect a form quiz to instructional videos. They can also create assignment with a forms entrance or exit ticket or a forms quiz. Additionally, educators can collect information from students and even parents or guardians through form survey, which can be added as a tab or shared in a conversation in the post tab. 3 multi-channel learning models that work. They are asynchronous distance learning, flipped learning, and ACMR. Now we've come to the asynchronous distance learning. This model of multi-channel learning provides students with the ability to be self-driven and disciplined, while also feeling the support from teachers during in-person learning. This way, students can learn how to work on their own and with others in an appropriate environment. Kathy Bond explains how at the beginning of the 2020 school year, there was a steep learning curve for teachers. Because of this gap, because of the gap in knowledge of how to use technology between teachers, time was needed to be spent on professional development for teachers to provide a rambunctious curriculum. Asynchronous learning provided educators with some extra time to spend on learning how to better manage their classroom and utilize their tools. Flipped learning. With classrooms that switch off attending in-person and distance learning instruction, a flipped learning classroom could be extremely beneficial. Teachers are having their students who are on remote days work on their own and at their own pace so that when they come to their in-person instruction, the day is spent on expanding on, discussing, absorbing, and applying the concept learned at home. With a flipped learning model, students are able to learn self-sufficiency, time management, and self-evaluation by determining how long they need for assignment and which topics they have already mastered. This way, with the minimal in-person time provided, teachers are able to maximize the way they teach and how students learn. The last one is ASAMR. ASAMR. As Editopia defines it, the summer, okay, we can say summer, model lays out 4 tiers of online learning presented roughly in order of their sophistication and transformative power: substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. Each level helps teacher to integrate, prioritize, learn, and create different tools, lessons, strategies, and method for effective learning. This style provides more of a structured, step-by-step approach to multi-channel learning. How to create a successful multi-channel learning environment. One is set your semester goals. 2. Map it out. 3. Determine which course objectives are best served as in-person activities. 4 is determine the online portion of your course. 5. Create and source content. 6. Give your multi-channel learning plan a trial run. How to create a successful multi-channel learning environment. Number 3. Determine which course objectives are best served in in-person activities. The face-to-face class time should be reserved for activities that require activities such as A. Synchronous group brainstorming sessions. B. Communicating class expectation and outlining individual responsibilities. C. Establishing a collaborative, trust-based learning environment. D. Call and response presentation. E. Providing immediate feedback to students. Multi-channel learning tools include 1. Video conference. 2. Learning management system or LMS. 3. Online exercises. 4. Online discussion forum. 5. Pre-recorded video instruction. Constructive alignment principle in multi-channel learning. This is the description. This is the figure. For the learning outcomes, it can be in and out to teaching learning activities and also to assessment. And for assessment can in out with teaching learning activities. And there are situational factors for them. Lesson design in multi-channel learning, the learning outcomes. Yeah, this is example from Microsoft Education. So design with the end in mind. For the questions, what do you want students to know at the end of the lessons? What will the final assessment be? What will students need along the way? The third question will be having another question. What will you cover in your lessons? What readings will you share? What activities or assignments will they complete? Assessing learning objectives and progress. Today's cutting-edge learning management system, or LMS, can help learning professionals to get the most out of hybrid teaching by using machine learning and artificial intelligence, or AI, to gather data and identify trends. The benefits are: 1. Individualized analytics and insight help reinforce positive behaviors like daily course interaction. 2. The assessment analytics that shape the content and objectives are presented next as students complete lessons and modules. 3. Assessment tools can gather information about retention and mastery of offline lessons, whether in seminar or experiential form. Activities in multi-channel learning, the activities in the classroom, interactive discussion and hands-on lesson, lab or science work that needs supervision, one-on-one instruction time for vulnerable students, and well-being check-ins. And for remote learning, one is viewing lecture materials in presentation or video format where students can learn at their own pace. Then independent work like worksheet, reading, and writing. The last one is elective, remediation, or advanced work. Now, 21 multi-channel learning activities to get students talking. Here we go. This is interesting one. Yeah. So you can use would you rather, or you can use band teasers, remote friendly improved games, collaborative concept mapping, mystery questions, think pair repair, what's in a name, collaborative word clouds, video reflections, what's in common challenge, sprint retrospectives. This one is like Scrum, yeah. It has sprint retrospectives, case studies, and then 30 seconds book talks, back channel feedback, then subject specific categories, classroom debates, academic speed dating, idea lineup, Google Docs collaborations, icebreaker questions, and questions. Question discussion, yeah. You can have this through this link, okay? Assessment in multi-channel learning. Sample of formative assessment in multi-channel learning on Microsoft Education. Complete practice problem in OneNote, then complete a poll, practice quiz, entrance or exit tickets in forms, summarize their understanding of a video lesson or live lesson in OneNote, complete a graphic organizer using the whiteboard apps, answer questions related to a concept in Word. Instructor can also utilize other assessment strategies to measure students' growth, including demonstrations. Instructor can task students with demonstrating their mastery of a concept by teaching it. Students can use Sway, PowerPoint, or video editor to teach an assigned topic to a specified audience. Students can also use Flipgrid or the screen recorder feature in PowerPoint, or stream to record themselves teaching a concept, explaining a process, or walking through the steps of how to solve a problem. Instructor can also utilize other assignment strategies to measure students' growth, including portfolios. Students can document their learning in OneNote. Students can reflect on their learning, self-assess, and provide authentic examples of their progress. At the end of the unit of learning, students can use their portfolio to write a response to an overarching essential question or respond to a Flipgrid prompt. Instructor can also utilize other assignment strategies to measure students' growth, including problem-based tasks. Instructors can give students or students group real-world authentic problems to solve in a unit of learning. Throughout the course of study, educators would pose an authentic problem for students to solve, and students would apply the content they are learning to the problem posed. Problem-based learning provides students with a purpose and engages them in a meaningful work. Students feel a sense of responsibility, value, and independence when they focus on solutions to real-world questions. Feedback in multi-channel learning. To offer feedback effectively and efficiently, educators can use a number of strategies. 1. Audio feedback in OneNote. Using assignment in Microsoft Teams, instructors can distribute a OneNote page to students. When finished, educators can use the Insert Audio feature to offer feedback. Not only does audio feedback help instructors provide meaningful feedback in a timely manner, students report greater satisfaction when they receive audio feedback. According to Small Teaching Online, students indicate an increased satisfaction with audio feedback. It felt more personal, they reported, and they found it to be more useful because the audio feedback included more explanation and suggestion for improvement than the written feedback did. It's Darby 1 to 4. Second is notes in forms quizzes. Instructor can insert messages with a forms practice quiz to provide feedback as the student completes the quiz. If the students answer incorrectly, the feedback feature in forms can direct the student to a specific page or video that helps them find the answer to the questions. If the student answers correctly, the feedback can send the student to a resource with additional information to challenge them further. Creating notes within the quiz allows instructors to be virtual tutors for the students as they practice concepts. Third, feedback cycles with assignments in Teams. Instructors can create an assignment in Microsoft Teams requiring students to submit their final work through the team. Once submitted, educators can review students' work and provide feedback. When the feedback is returned to students, they can modify the work based on the instructor's feedback and resubmit. Best practice Best practice in Microsoft Education. Teachers' role in multi-channel learning. Building a sense of community among students is crucial for every classroom or course section. In a hybrid model, educators can create community through a variety of experiences. Students need to feel connected to one another, and to their instructor. Instructor must find a way to break the physical distance that separates participants by creating a class community. Instructors need to be thoughtful regarding how they foster relationship with students to encourage connection and camaraderie. Educators must consider how they will create a welcoming virtual learning space for students and how they will establish their teacher presence with that space. Students need to see their instructor as real people. When educators are authentic, students feel connected and safe to share their thoughts and needs. Students connect best with instructors who are not afraid to show their personalities. Instructors can begin by posting an introductory video welcoming students to the virtual learning space and posting discussion prompts or hosting virtual social activities that helps students learn more about their instructor and each other. Traditional icebreaker activities conducted in person will need to be revamped to develop connection with in-person and virtual students. Additionally, educators can create social channels for students to get to know each other, as well as establish routines and rituals in their class that students can look forward to and that can encourage students to participate in throughout the course. Instructors are well accustomed to in-person instruction. Their learning spaces are optimized for visibility and collaboration. They know how to garner students' attention, gauge understanding, and foster conversation. They have established protocols, procedures, and expectation for students' behavior, class activities, and class assignment. Class management and class workflow are, in short, well established and comfortable. When transitioning to a multi-channel learning environment, educational institutions can create virtual learning spaces for teachers and students with Microsoft Teams. Teams is the perfect tool providing continuity and flexibility. As the digital hub for a hybrid classroom, Microsoft Teams allows educators to connect with students in team calls, create and collect assignments, share resources, and facilitate collaboration among all students, whether attending in person or virtually. Instructors will also be able to integrate other resources and apps within Teams, making it a centralized learning space similar to the physical classroom. In hybrid model, educators must present their course bimodally in order to accommodate students who are physically on campus and students who are attending remotely. Instructors, therefore, need to set up their classroom to optimize instruction for students who are attending virtually via Teams call. Educators need to use a microphone and webcam to ensure virtual students can hear and see the instructor throughout the teaching session. For accessibility, instructors should teach students how to use the closed caption feature in Teams calls. Moreover, instructors can utilize the share screen feature so students attending virtually can see everything the instructor is demonstrating and discussing. Additionally, educators must establish policies and procedures for their virtual environment. How will a student ask questions or get the instructor's attention? How will instructor check attendance and gauge participation during asynchronous calls? During collaborative work, how will educators break students into groups, get students' attention, and bring everyone back to the main classroom for checks-in or further instruction? Instructors must determine how they can modify their current in-person learning procedures to work in a virtual space. Furthermore, instructors should establish a workflow for sharing content and resources, distributing and collecting assignments, offering feedback, and evaluating students' work. Microsoft Teams, OneNote class, notebooks, and assignments in Teams can streamline everyone's workflow and help students organize class materials, work independently, and prioritize assignments. Finally, instructors should determine an organizational structure for their virtual learning space. Educators can utilize channels within teams to create structures. Channels can be organized in a variety of ways. 1. Weekly channel. 2. Topic-based channel. 3. Channels for each activity. Or 4. Group-based channels using private channels. Additionally, instructors can add specific channels for socialization, meetings, questions, virtual field trips, or learning centers. 5 elements in multi-channel learning. Instructors can prepare for the virtual learning environment by implementing specific strategies for each element of multi-channel learning. 1. Learning environment. 1. Create a class team. Then select a microphone and webcam to optimize Teams call. Then teach students how to use closed captions in Teams call. Next, create class notebook within teams for sharing content and creating a workspace for students. Then establish an organizational structure with channels. Finally, add important resources as steps. 2. Class community. 1. Create an introductory video. 2. Revise icebreaker activities for hybrid environment. 3. Get a social channel for students. 4. Encourage students to practice communicating in their virtual classroom. 5. Establish cyber safety and digital citizenship guideline. 6. Foster students-to-students interaction to advance learning. 7. Survey parents and guardians to learn about students' needs. 3. Engagement and interactivity. First is identify the core experience of in-person learning and interaction that need to be translated online. Second, utilize strategies to ensure that all students are active participants. Third, establish methods for evaluating students' comprehension during synchronous sessions. Fourth is examine coursework demands to ensure students have appropriate workload. Fifth, pose authentic problems for students to solve. Six, encourage voice, choice, and agency. 4. Assessment and feedback. One is create formative assessment that allows students to practice concept. 2. Design alternate summative assessments that allow voice, choice, and agency. 3 is provide meaningful and timely feedback with audio feedbacks, not in forms quizzes, and feedback cycle with assignment in teams. And 5, this should be 5 yeah, not 4. Lesson design. Okay, 5 is lesson design. 1 is utilize backward design to simplify content and focus on enduring understandings. 2. Implement universal design for learning guidelines to personalize instruction. 3. Plan segmented synchronous lesson. 4. Create short asynchronous lesson and upload to stream. 5. Use multimodal method of communication to share learning goals, announcement, and instruction with students. 6 is scaffold lesson and assignment. Hybrid teaching tips. 1. Don't be afraid to redesign. Okay. 2. Use online work to over targeted learning plans, extension, or one-to-one teaching for individual students. 3. Provide mobile learning options for the online portion of your course. 4. Be open to feedback and really learn from your students' experience. 5. Don't overload on online assignment. 6. Integrate the online and the in-person. A successful hybrid course is only as strong as the relationship between its two halves. 7. Embrace your hybrid community. 8. Explain the purpose and expectation of your hybrid class clearly and often. 9. Provide students with self and time management tips so they aren't left treading water as soon as they leave the classroom. 10. Connect your students to a trusted IT hotline for any technical issues that may arise. 11. To create such a learning environment, educational institutions must create physical and virtual learning spaces that are conducive to dynamic interaction with students who are both in person and remote. Checklist for multi-channel learning preparation. Example from Microsoft Education. Channels. What channels will you create to keep your team organized for students? Determine the types of channel you want to create. Weekly, topic, activity, group, social, question, etc. Decide the order of importance of your channels. For your channels, Then create channels based on your preferred organizational structure. Be sure to number them. For example, 1, 2, etc. So they are displayed in the order you prefer. Then determine if any channels need to be moderated. Then manage channels and set moderation for channels that need to be moderated. tabs. What resources will you want your students to access? Make a list of the resources your students need to access during your course. Determine which channel each resource belongs in. For each resources, add it as a tab to the appropriate channel. Then post your digital citizenship guidelines to your social channel. Then class notebook. What content will you share with the students? Print existing course materials in the content library. Create new course materials in the content library. What type of workspace will your students need? Determine what work students will complete together in a collaboration space. Design activity pages for students to complete independently. Distribute pages to students at the appropriate time through assignment in teams. Post. How will you foster communication with your students? Of course, you have to utilize the announcement feature for posts you want to stand out for students. Then save time with the posts in multiple channels feature. If you have more than one class or group that needs to see the same information. Then set posts to only moderators and owners can post if you want to restrict students from replying. Finally, use at mentions to alert the entire team, a specific channel or a specific student. And here we go, the references. We have 7, yeah. You may take this one, then you can click all of the references for further learning. Thank you so much. Happy learning. Have a great day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.